Well, this is a day probably long awaited for, but all in all, not a huge surprise. Finally, the induction of the 2000-2001 Transylvania men's basketball team being inducted into the 2016 edition of the Pioneer Hall of Fame. With us today, we have Coach Don Lane, the head coach of that illustrious group, Collier Mills, one of the star players on that team, the 2001 NAIA Player of the Year, Kyle Green, a key component of that team as well, and Ryan Lane, who sort of got the torch at the end of the year, but certainly has a tight connection to the program as a whole as well. I guess first of all, does it feel like it's already been 15 years?
Yes. No, I mean, it feels like just yesterday we were playing, and it was a great year. Coach Lane's last year, which made it even more special before he passed the torch to Brian. So it was a great ride, and we're honored to be here.
There are a ton of unique qualities to that team. 27-1 in the regular season, that #1 national ranking that lasted for just around, perhaps a little bit beyond a month and a half. The school record 22-game winning streak, going so far and just running into the tournament with a whole lot of momentum. But what was the main thing on your team's mind that season, knowing that you weren't going to have a true home court? What was the focus on the first day of basketball practice that year?
Well, I know what my focus was. We never talked about not having a home court. We knew all the games would be on the road, and these guys were highly intelligent people. They were very experienced, knew and understood what we wanted done, and myself or none of the assistant coaches never even talked about not having a home court. They're all going to be away games, and we've been fairly successful over the years on the road anyway, so we weren't. But even at that, we got to play in some pretty nice places that year.
How soon did you know that team was a really special one? Not only one that was going to be, traditionally annually one of your good teams, but one that had the potential to do something really special in the long run.
I knew it the year before. Of course, I knew part of it when I recruited them because it was really a good group of kids that we accumulated at that point. And then a lot of them grew into really good players. For instance, Collier went from 6'5" to 6'8". Kyle grew a couple of inches and put on 25, 30 pounds. Jimmy Fox, he was supposed to have graduated the year before, got a knee injury, and ended up staying an extra year. So a lot of the ingredients that came about for that team were not supposed to necessarily happen, but did.
How soon did you know that it was going to be your last run?
I really didn't know until the season was over. I didn't know until the season was over that. Then I sat down and looked. I had certainly thought about it a lot. I think they even probably got a feel for it, some vibes from it. Media was always hounding me about it. And I had some doctors tell me I needed to quit. And so, with that in mind, I knew that it could be. And after it turned out to be the kind of year it was a good time to stop.
One of the great achievements of that team, so many to pick from, was Collier Mills winning the NAIA Player of the Year award. Can you describe how special a player Collier was?
What made Collier special? He could play every player on every position on the floor. He was highly coachable, even though he was the Player of the Year. Even though all those guys were pretty coachable, he wanted to do what you wanted him to do. He wanted to win in the worst way. He was a great leader, but also, as we had a lot of good leaders on that team, like Kyle and others, and it was but Collier just had that, and he had a lot of skill, and he worked every day. He worked extremely hard in the weight room to make himself a better player, and I think that's probably has as much to do with him developing to the level he did.
And the biggest part was Kyle was such a great defender that I got to hide on defense. So that's the true reason I had some success. I got to rest.
We weren't going to bring it up.
I was just thinking about how much easier he made it on the rest of us because with the offense going through Collier, we could play off of him, and it's just he was a humble star too. Sometimes when you have a great player, it's all about them, and Collier was all about the team, and that was what made it so much fun.
Obviously, the team was great. It was tough to beat. Barely lost. What do you think, looking back, was the identity of that team?
I think how unified we were is really what made us as good as we were, and I think that has carried over into the rest of our life. I mean, the guys that are here tonight and that we played with in 2001 are still talking to each other on a weekly, if not daily basis, and we still have a guys trip every year. I mean, it's a really, really close-knit group, and we were then, and I think we all settled into our roles over the course of our careers, and by the time we got to that senior year, we just knew each other. We knew how to play. We knew how to play off of each other, and I think that carried over into a lot of wins.
So maybe not a whole lot of time will pass when you touch base and shake hands and give hugs to all your teammates that you'll see here today, but even crossing paths with them here in this place tonight, what kind of memories do you think seeing all your former teammates and familiar faces will stoke?
The great ones. I mean, like Kyle said, we're really close even to this day, and that's a lot to do with Coach, and he just built a family, and that's why we all came here when he recruited us. You know, I was going to his basketball camp when I was 6 years old, and so knew the Lane family and everything they stood for, and you know, we were all, you know, we cared about academics. We came to, you know, we knew Transy was a great school, and we all cared about that. Some more than others, but we just loved each other, and that's, you know, Kyle hit it on the head. We cared about each other, and we didn't care who got the, you know, the glory. We just wanted to win and have fun, and you know, and like Coach said, playing on the road every game, that made us tougher because we didn't, you know, we didn't have the comfort of having a home game, so we had to prepare mentally. Every game was on the road, and so we had a lot of adversity that year, but I think in the end it made us, you know, as good a team that we had.
I just think about playing basketball the right way. And when we watch basketball now, you know, I can appreciate good basketball because we were on a good basketball team where you share the ball, you have good spacing, you just really play the way that basketball is kind of purely played, and I think that's what we did.
Maybe more so for you two as the players to answer, whether it was from Coach Lane, your other teammates, someone else perhaps. What's the most important lesson you took away from that season?
I would just say unity. I mean, I'm getting hit in that again, but it was, you know, we were just such a close team, and you'll probably see that tonight with some of the stories we can tell, and just the, you know, the way we cared about each other. And it started with Coach. You know, Transy's a family. It's a small school, and you know, he's passed that torch on to Brian, and he's still doing the same thing with guys that have a lot in common and care about one another, and I think that's just what made us successful and what made it carry on beyond just basketball and just beyond the success we had as a team on the basketball court. You know, he taught us more about, you know, life skills, and that's stuff that we can, you know, still use today as we're husbands and dads and